French onion soup. It's one of the world's best healing dishes. But if you want to know the secret behind real tasty onion soup, then stick around.
Big thanks to Napoleon Grills for sponsoring this episode.
Making onion soup is not just making soup. It's an art form. Everybody has their secret recipe, but what they all have in common is that it starts with onions. Now, of course, you want to get the right ones. These are giant yellow Spanish onions, and you're gonna need loads of them because you're not just making onion soup for the day. No, you're making onion soup for the week. Lots of chefs will show you a beautiful recipe on how to make onion soup, and honestly, it tastes really good, but we can do better. I'll be cooking this on my Napoleon professional barbecue, but whatever type of grill or outdoor cooking device you have, you're going to need to start a fire. Put some charcoal in your grill. Put a couple of fire starters in and light it up. That's going to take a while, so in the meantime we're going to prepare the other important ingredient, which is bone marrow. If you don't know anything about bone marrow, then there's only one thing you need to remember about it. It's called the butter of the gods, and it basically explains it all. I'm going to season this bone marrow with a little bit of Pitmaster's Texas seasoning, which is basically onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, and of course a couple of other secret ingredients. Then I'm going to transfer them to a wire rack, and then when the fire is lit, we're going to take these giant onions and put them in the charcoal. Then I'm going to lower the charcoal base, put the grill grates back in, and put the bone marrow on top. Time to close the lid. Now the onions are roasting, and at the same time they're smoking the bone marrow. Every other minute you gotta rotate the onions, make sure they cook evenly on all sides. While the onions are roasting, we're gonna prepare the beef broth ingredients. And so far I used 2.5 kilograms of onions for roasting, and now I'm gonna use 1 kilogram of onions for the beef broth. Quarter the onions and put them in an extremely large pot. Then take a whole string of celery, cut it in 4, add it to the pot. Now we're going to need the same weight in carrots. I cut the carrots, add them to the pan. I'm going to make sure to wash this and remove any impurities that are left on the vegetables. And in about 15 minutes, I hear what I want to hear, that the onions are done. It's the sizzle that gives them away. And the sizzle is basically them boiling in their own skin. And that means that it's time to take them out. You can understand that this is going to give a lot of extra flavor to onion soup. And the reason why I started so early by roasting the onions even before I made the broth is because these onions now take a long time to cool down again. So I'm going to set them aside and do the last bit of roasting on our bone marrow. Now they already picked up plenty of smoke from the onions, but I don't need them to be fully cooked. I just want them to pick up enough flavor. And once they did, I'm going to add them to the pot. See, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a little bit of roasting color, but I still need that bone marrow to be inside. And this is about 2.5 kilograms of bone marrow, which seems like a lot, but you really need it if you want intense flavors. Now I gotta top this pot off with water, put the lid on if you can, set it over the fire and let it simmer for 4 hours. At least, because you can also do this for 12 hours or 24 hours, but at least 4 hours. The beef broth is starting to look good, so it's time to now pick up these onions and remove the outer layer, because we're not actually going to eat the roasted part. I just want to unveil what's inside, and that is an extremely sweet tasting onion. A little bit of char on them is fine, but I just want to clean them up, point where it's mostly onion, only a little bit of char. Now we got to slice these onions up, so I'm going to cut them in half and then just start slicing. You can see they're already fully cooked. They're sweet. I'm going to take away the tops and the bottom. And you want to make sure that you got slices and no big chunks. Now, of course, if you want to make a really delicious onion soup, you're still going to need to fry the onions in butter. I'm going to slide the beef broth aside, take the hand-polished Pitmaster's cast iron pan, put it on the fire with a little bit of butter, and I'm going to let that melt. Now I'm going to slowly saute the onion, let it become that beautiful light brown, but super soft. At this point, people prefer to add flour to the mixture to thicken the soup. Personally, I don't want my soup to become a porridge. I worked so hard to make it everything it already is. So why thicken it to make it look like something else? And this is now all you have left. A beautiful, thick, caramelized onion. I'm going to transfer it to a pot once again. I'm going to take the beef broth. This pot is worth its weight in gold. I'm going to slowly add beef broth to the onions, not to get rid of any impurities. It's okay to have a couple of small chunks of carrot, a little bit of celery in your onion soup. And of course, the bone marrow. Give it a stir, look at its consistency, because the world's best onion soup is allowed to be thick, but it still has to stay a soup. Now if you take a look at this, like it a little bit more soupy, and this is the fun part. Like if you disagree with the consistency, you can change it. You can add a little bit more beef broth. I'm gonna strain that, I'm gonna reduce it down until I have a super thick consistency. And then I'm going to store it in the fridge for my next project, like a delicious faux soup. Now the soup goes back onto the fire because we're going to need a topping for our soup. And that, of course, is bread. I'm going to cut these up into chunks, add olive oil, add about a tablespoon of minced garlic, some fresh chopped parsley, Pitmaster's Texas seasoning, mix it in, and then roast it over an open fire. And last thing they need to do is bring it up the flavor with a little bit of salt and do the taste test. The soup should be salty, but not over salt. And that is a personal preference. So you can taste it, add a little bit of salt, taste it again, see how the soup develops until you've got it just the way you like it. Then take it off the fire, take a nice looking bowl and start plating it up. Of course, some of that with a little bit of beef tallow. A little bit of carrots, then put the fire roasted croutons on top. Just a little tower in the center is gonna do the job. And now you gotta make the right decision. Buy a block of Gruyère cheese and finally grate that over the croutons, just like that. Don't load this up with cheese, stick it under a broiler, because that is what you wanna do yourself. With a spoon, stick it in the soup. The soup is gonna be served real hot, so that is a plate to enjoy. True masterpiece. Time for the taste test. It's been a long cooking session, but it's going to be worth it. This is so good. This might be world's best onion soup. If it's not, it's going to be pretty close. Wow. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave me a big thumbs up and a comment down below. See you guys in the next video. Until then, eet smakelijk and keep on roasting your onions. Cheers.